Hey, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. My name is Salvador Briggman, and on this show, we get into the nuts and bolts, the brass tacks of what you got to do to get your campaign funded on websites like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and other equity crowdfunding platforms. And man, oh man, am I excited for you to listen to today's episode, because I think today's episode is a great example of the fact that anyone out there can crush it when it comes to crowdfunding. We had on a six-figure creator, someone who's ever been able to raise over $196,000 on Indiegogo for a really innovative product. And this is really the first time that they created their own product from scratch. And they encountered a lot of obstacles and challenges, but I think they're a great testament to the fact that if you are persistent, if you're smart about your approach, and you're really willing to give a great experience to creators and backers, that you can plow through any obstacle. So we're going to hear from that team here today. And really, I think some great takeaways for anyone out there who's wondering what it's like to actually go from prototyping to manufacturing. You're going to hear about that on today's podcast episode. Some of the reasons why you might want to have boots on the ground when it comes to being able to develop your product, specifically of something related to like electronics or any kind of engineering, why this is actually a really important element. And also, of course, the marketing that went behind this explosive six-figure launch, how they were able to build an audience of early adopters and to get people excited and actually start backing their campaign when they went live. And I think some really invaluable advice for other entrepreneurs, creators, and innovators in the audience. So this was one whopper of a podcast episode, and quite, I would say, inspirational as well. So stick around, because we're going to get into that in just a second. But before we do, if you want to learn more about how to launch your own campaign on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, if you really want the step-by-step, the brass tacks, cut through the fluff and the noise, and really just share with you what you got to do from the tactical, strategic, and more importantly, the tools that you can incorporate into this launch to blow up your campaign, to absolutely crush your goal, and you want that delivered straight to your inbox, all you got to do is go to the link I'm about to mention, enter your name and email, and you'll start getting some lessons from me on how to launch a successful crowdfunding campaign. Go to the link at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter. And again, you'll start getting some lessons here from me at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter, crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter. Now, one other quick thing I have to say before we jump into today's podcast episode is that CrowdCrux stands for a lot more than just the crux of your success when it comes to crowdfunding. It's about doing the right things. It's about showing up. It's about being willing to sometimes lay everything on the line to be able to build a brand, to grow an audience, and to crush your goal with crowdfunding. So listen to that and keep that in mind as you listen to today's podcast episode. It's coming up right after this. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we're speaking with a campaign creator that's been able to attract over $196,000 from more than 400 backers for SoCool, the first refrigerated smart pet feeder. No more ice packs, finally an automated feeder that keeps food fresh around the clock. And we are lucky enough to be speaking with the creator here today. Leslie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Salvador. I'm here with co-founder Ahmad. He's sitting right next to me, and we're super excited to be here talking to you today.
Ahmad and Leslie, welcome. Thank you guys so much. Maybe we can start with a little bit of an introduction here in terms of who you are, and also a little bit more about the product. If we want, we can start with Ahmad.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My background is in electronics. I've been working in the robotics industry for a while, and at some point, maybe tired of not having much progress in the products I've been working on, and I thought about making my own product. I was talking to different friends, and at some point, Leslie told me that she has this great idea of making a product for cats, like a refrigerated cat feeder or pet feeder, mostly, but we are mostly targeting cats. And that sounded like very interesting idea. Initially, it didn't sound like anything like a
Nothing you were used to.
Right. Sophisticated.
Wasn't a robot.
Right. That's type of the product I've been working on. But like, no, this is very interesting, and it will have like a lot of challenges because it requires like actually like manufacturing a product. It has electronics, it has injection molding, it has like circuit boards, mobile app, and all of that. So
Right.
that's how I got into this business of making pet feeders.
And then I'm Leslie, and I'm just a regular person with a regular background. I work in healthcare, nothing tech, nothing marketing, nothing business. I'm like the regular person that just has this vision for what's needed. I think like all day, every day, I walk around saying like, like, why did they do it like that? Shouldn't they have done it like this? Wouldn't it be cool if they had this? And I'm that dreamer person. So like that's our collaboration of how we kind of came to be together. But total opposite people, completely opposite backgrounds. But I think it's important for people out there to know. I know I was intimidated by hearing about other people with successful businesses. I always thought like I couldn't possibly do that because they have this background in whatever. Like I'm so far from that. I could never do that. So I just want to say like I'm just a regular person, and I did it, and it was terrifying and exhilarating and the hardest work I've ever done in my life. But I wouldn't trade. I know you hear that from everybody. Like more like it's nothing you can do on the side. It's just the hardest work you can possibly think. Like our running joke to each other is, are we gonna die? Like, are we gonna die? And we used to say like, no, we're not gonna die. We're gonna be fine. And then sometimes we're like, maybe we might die. It's possible. So it's.
I mean, you guys have been doing you guys have been doing such an incredible job here. Out of curiosity, how long was it before having that idea from then, like, having conversations, taking action, starting to work on the product? What kind of development time were we talking about here before you came out with this?
Yeah, so we talked about the idea in July of 2022. And in a matter of probably like 2 weeks after that, we started like buying like components, trying like to put something together, like by cutting styrofoam, like insulation material, like whatever we could. We just put them together. So it took us, we went through like a couple of prototyping phases, and we made like different types, different samples. Initially, everything made of foam, plus the refrigeration component. Then we bought 3D printers. We started like making them actually like 3D printed, so we could give it to to people to be able to test it, because we didn't want to like give testers like a foam material that the animal may eat. And then by almost, I think, March of 2023, we had a prototype that we were happy with it.
Super cool.
Yeah, then we had the campaign in October, but it took us like some time to actually learn about crowdfunding campaign and get up and running, like set up our website, and all of that.
So Leslie, was this your first product, or have you done products before in the past, or what was that like?
No, this was I have dreamed of many products. This is my first product that I ever made. And that's why I wanted to mention it, because like I really want the person out there who's like in their car driving down the road, like, I should make this. And who doesn't do it, Like I want them to hear that like I'm that person. I'm that person that like dreamt of a million products and didn't do it, but I did this one. And you just have to throw yourself into it. There's no good time. There's no there's no perfect plan. You just have to like barrel into it, like innocently, like not knowing what the challenges are. Because I think if you knew everything, you'd run. If you knew what you were facing, you'd run. You just have to barrel into it, just recklessly and like innocently, and just tackle it.
Right. And with curiosity like a cat.
Absolutely. Yes, curiosity for sure.
So I'm thinking about this, I think a lot of people out there, they might come out with a new product, but you decided to use crowdfunding as a way to bring this to the world and to involve the crowd. What kind of led to that decision?
Well, I mean, we're just two regular people, right? We needed the money to two reasons. We needed the money for manufacturing. We didn't have that. And that is what crowdfunding is all about. But also we needed the more logical side of this partnership with Ahmad. He wanted to test this. He wanted to make sure there was a market for this. He wanted to make sure like that this is something that people wanted. I knew people wanted it. I was a pet owner. I've always been a pet owner. I knew all my friends wanted this. I knew this was needed, but we had to prove it with numbers.
Love it. Love it. And you've gone through, I think, 6 iterations or prototypes. It sounds like it's beautifully designed. It looks like it functions very well. So you've definitely done your homework when it comes to that.
Thank you. I've tortured my cat for many years. She's my tester, along with like 30 or 40 others, but she's the original gangster, and I tormented her with this feeder every day.
So walk me through the night before you go live here, Ahmad. You guys have been working on this for a while, and you've thought out this very well-designed product. What's kind of going through your head the night before you went live with this campaign?
Yeah, so
did we sleep? I don't think we slept.
Barely. So one of the things that we have learned is that everything is like uncertainty. Really, there's nothing that you say, okay, this is exactly what we'll get. So we had our email list that was large enough that we thought, okay, we may be able to raise this much money, but like we're very nervous about the amount, but also about the responsibility, right? We are thinking about, okay, if we don't raise the money, like we're thinking like, how are we going to deal with this if we don't have the, but also we're thinking if we raise the money, like the amount of like pressure we felt from the responsibility that now we will have, like, we'll owe these people this product and we have to make it no matter what it takes. So like for us, like I think like equal like to not raising the money, like raising the money that we needed had equal like pressure on us, to be honest with you.
Right, because it's a different type of challenge, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you had a kind of a mix of emotions when it came to it. What about you, Leslie? What was kind of going through your head the night before you went live?
I mean, same. We just talked this to death. We said like, what's the number? Like, is there a number that we have that we say, okay, we couldn't do it, we give them all back the money, or like, are we crazy? We just keep pushing. And we went through like this just roller coaster of ups and downs and conversations, failure and success of how could we do it? What would we do? What would be the game plan? That doesn't stop. That never stops. That conversation of like, can we do it? Are we going to do it? What do we do? How do we do it? We keep thinking we're going to get to this place where we feel like we know the answers, and we're a couple years down the road now, and we're still saying like, okay, what do we do now?
And
like,
looking
are we okay? Are we safe? What do we do now?
Right. I'm looking at your comment section as well, and you have some really great people like Samantha, who said that this is the first time they ever backed a crowdfunded product, but it was so worth it. You have other people here as well that are kind of singing your praises. Donald, who says they're here at last. They just got their unit. Right. So you really were able to have a profound impact, I think, going down that route.
Our backers are amazing. And the cool thing about our crowdfunding campaign, it was challenging in a different way. Our backers are not crowdfunders. Sometimes with a lot of these tech products or board games, these people have done multiple crowdfunding campaigns, and they're used to the challenges, they're used to the risks, they're used to all of it, and they're used to waiting. And in this day of like 2-day shipping, like this concept of like, I'm going to give you my money. I don't know who you are. I'm going to give you my money, and then I'm going to wait, and I'm just going to like hope that I get it. We were very proud of ourselves that we were able to bring in I think the majority, I don't know a percentage, but I would just venture to guess at least 90% of our backers have never done crowdfunding before. And that was super exciting for us. And we were on Indiegogo. I think we're one of the first or the only in a long time of automated pet products. And we were excited to see a whole bunch of people come later that we kind of we feel like we kind of like opened the door, opened people's eyes to saying like, hey, there's an entire group of people here that are like hungry for technology. And
Right.
we feel like we did that. We were excited about that.
So I think a lot of creators out there that are just kind of getting started, there are many different features and functions. And you guys are very deliberate, right, with the design that you have and what you were choosing to include there.
Yeah.
And one of the things you mentioned was this idea of like knowing your product better than other people.
So, I mean, sort of like I mentioned before, like I am the customer, right? Like I'm the creator, or I'm this partnership of this creation because we had this need, right? And not only did we have this need, but our friends had this need. And then we expanded that with our prototype, with our beta testing, and we got so much feedback from the different people, different scenarios, different environments where we talked to all these people. We didn't just send them a device and say like, "Hey, fill out this questionnaire." We had phone interviews with them. We got on calls with them. We had text chains with them, and became friends with a lot of these people. And we just really had frank conversations like, what's the perfect product for you? What are you looking for in this imaginary scenario with no barriers? What do you want? And that just led us in the right direction. Like, let's imagine cost isn't an issue. Let's imagine there's no barriers. What's your perfect product? And let's see how close we can get to that. Maybe there's still room to grow. There is still room to grow. As technology progresses, we have more at our fingertips, more accessibility.
Right.
Future is exciting.
If you're worried about the fulfillment and shipping part of your Kickstarter campaign when it comes to getting out all those perks and rewards to your backers, rest assured I've put together a complete Kickstarter fulfillment and shipping checklist for you, and it's free. This is sponsored by the folks at Fulfillrite, and they thought that you should have this checklist as part of your arsenal going into a crowdfunding campaign. If you want to get instant access to this checklist and it's free, you can go to fulfillrite.com/checklist. Again, that is fulfillrite.com/checklist, fulfillrite.com/checklist. Just go to that link and you can download it immediately. In thinking about the launch, is there anything that stuck out to you that you feel like you'd like to pass on as advice for other creators in terms of how you were able to build an audience or get people excited, or any thoughts on the marketing side there?
I'm going to say a quick one. I know Ahmad's got a good one, but I say fail faster. Don't be afraid. Just throw yourself into it. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have failures. And the sooner you get past that and through that, the sooner you can move on to something that you're really, really proud of. But I know that Ahmad has a good little trinket of information about staying small.
So I think like partially is, I think like approaching crowdfunding as this is something new. If you're a first time crowdfunder, that you haven't done this before, right? So I think there's a lot of like learning that goes to it, and like something like your podcast is like amazing like source for that kind of information to understand, okay, like what are the other campaigners are doing? Like what are the steps that you would do to be able to launch a like successful crowdfunding campaign? So we got some guidance from other campaigners to walk us through the steps, but like part of it's like really is about marketing, right? So as people who are like making products, like we are excited about actually like the physical product, like make it and just feel it. But what's the reality is that at the end of the day, when you're doing crowdfunding campaign, you're selling a product, or you're selling an idea, or you're selling a promise to your backers, and you have to market it well. And it requires like using all of the marketing tools in your disposal to be able to deliver that message. So it makes it like initially, like we were thinking, okay, like we're gonna go like make this crowdfunding campaign page, and like everyone would like love the product, will come like back us, but that's not the case, right? You have to actually like advertise. You have to create this email list, like get people excited. We had like this Facebook group of like some early like people in our mailing list that joined the Facebook group. They were giving us like ideas about what the product should be. So I think like that's how we kind of like got it to the point that we're ready for the launch.
Right. So this idea of you kind of have to be willing to market it a little bit and push it. And also, I mean, looking at your page, you have some really beautiful photos. I can tell you have some great branding here. You have some awesome GIFs, some video. It sounds like you put a lot of emphasis on like the multimedia as well.
Yes, no, absolutely. Like the visual assets have been taking a lot of work from us, especially because that's not our background, right? So we have to like take the phone, take this picture. Oh, this is not good. Let's try it again. So it's been like
And
very.
you're dealing with a cat. It's
Yeah,
not going to do what you say.
they do not cooperate. I'll just let you know that they don't cooperate. So we could have like 300 shots and 2 of those shots can be used.
Right.
So I wanted to expand on something that Ahmad didn't get to is there's this temptation as a newbie kind of going into crowdfunding, like you dream of these big campaigns, $1 million. Like, could that happen for us? And Ahmad was like the very cautious cautious with this, and he said, hey, listen, like, we don't want that big campaign, we don't want to sell 1,000 products, like, it needs to be manageable. Because can you imagine, like, we're making a hardware product, let's say we sell 1,000 2,000 of them, we're going over all the things that can go, how much easier it is to manage a mistake with 500 versus managing a mistake with thousands. Do you know how many thousands of people are going to be like killing you in the comments if if you're late, if you have an error? Like, there's negative comments have such a life of their own. They'll just like,
yeah, they can live on and it can damage your reputation sometimes.
It's so much more. Not that it was easy, 500 devices. We lived on that assembly line. Like, we both went to Asia. We both were we managed so many crises. That's like a whole nother show, Salvador. Like, honestly, like, we literally lived there. We lived, breathed. I was on the assembly line. If we weren't there, if anybody thinks they can make a hardware product and not be on the ground in your factory, that's foolish thinking.
Yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more about that, because I do think there's that perception out there that you can just like find some kind of manufacturer and hand it off to them. They're going to do everything, right? What are your thoughts on that? And love to hear more of that story.
Absolutely not. Like, I guess it depends on the complexity of I'll just talk about hardware. If you're making a hardware product, you better pack your bags now. I said to Ahmad, I got to go. I said, you're crazy. You don't need to go. What's the reason you're going? We have a manufacturer. This is what we pay them for. He said, I got to go. I got to go. And I have to tell you, I was 100% wrong. He was 100% right. Not only did he need to be there, but we would have failed if he wasn't there. It's not just a language barrier, it's a culture difference. The way people communicate, the expectation, what our expectation is, it would have been if we weren't there. And so he was there for several months. I came in towards the end for about a month. I just can't say this strongly enough. You must be on the ground there. Don't send somebody for you. Don't send a proxy. Don't hire anybody. You've got to be there. Nobody cares about your product and your backers more than you do. Nobody in this world.
The other thing I would add to that is that, while it's a huge endeavor to go to a new country, right, in that way, you can also get tons of great photos and you can tell the story. And I think people really relate to that. Like, you're willing to have boots on the ground and invest in the brand, right, in that way.
If we were only so wise as to make that a better story, like, we were just working to death. But we should have, like, people told us to do that. They said, take pictures of you eating ramen, take pictures of this. We should have, we just weren't great marketers and we just were working.
And we're just so stressed out. Stressed out. And one other thing about like being like boots on the ground is like some of the things it's difficult to explain, right? So you have this vision of the quality for the product, the way that it looks. And it's so difficult to explain it to someone. When I say quality, this is what I mean. You should be there, let them make a sample, you look at it, you say, no, this is not good. Like, this has these problems. What I'm envisioning is different, right? And make them go through a couple of iterations so you get on the same page of like even what you mean when you say quality. Because quality is sometimes about like how good the product works, sometimes about like how the plastic doesn't have sharp edges, or it's not like wavy, or like all of that, right? Like you need to be there. And the other
Right.
thing,
And explaining that on email is pretty challenging.
absolutely impossible. And the other thing is that when you make a product, so it goes through different phases, right? We had a prototype, but we haven't done the design for manufacturing. So our design had to be redesigned again from scratch to be actually ready for manufacturing. And when you're redesigning it, then you have to create this like samples that you take a look, you test them. So if you're not there, like every time that you're making a new change, a new sample, you have to wait for the product to be shipped to you. So you can take a look, and then through email, maybe again, give them feedback. What if you're there, you could just point your finger at something, say, this is bad, right? And it's easy to explain and very faster.
Well, and what's interesting about that actually is, Leslie, while that may have been an oversight, I do think it goes actually back to your original principle, which is to do it fast, right? And to move fast. And that kind of tightens the iteration cycle, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just to give you like a quick, funny, like vision, like imagine us 11 o'clock at night, midnight at the factory, going through plastic lids. Rejection, 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 rejection. There was one night we rejected 50% of the lids.
Wow.
50%. And the owners walk in the next day like, what? we said, we told you we would reject anything below our quality standards. We're not playing around with our reputation. Rejection, rejection. There was a lot of meetings. There were a lot of hard conversations, but we were not willing to let our name be on something that wasn't what we expected.
I love it. I love it. We're coming to the end of the interview, but I do have one more question here for Ahmad, like on the technical side. You mentioned this idea of like being designed for manufacturing. Can you just share with the audience like the difference between prototype and design for manufacturing, just from like a very high level there?
Yeah, so when you make a prototype, you're trying just to test the idea, right? And you could be making it with, in our case, you could be cutting a piece of cardboard to do it. You could do 3D printing, but imagine for us was 3D printing. So when you do 3D printing, you have already designed something in a CAD software, right? Like for example, SolidWorks. And so already you have it designed, but your design doesn't mean can be manufactured. When the way that, for example, 3D printer works, that it like the way that's like putting those layers of plastic on top, it might be okay for the 3D printer, but for an injection mold to be able to open and close, if your plastic has a pieces that stops the mold from opening, so that design is not good, right? Now you have to redesign it, make it in a way that have that in mind. This piece of plastic is going to be made with an injection mold of this shape. Right? You could make your plastic as complicated as you want, but that would make your mold like way more expensive because now you have a lot of extra moving parts in the mold to be able to let the plastic be ejected. Right. So that's the phase that you go like from something that it could 3D printed probably to something that actually could be done in the factory with manufacturing tools.
Or like for ease of assembly. I remember like we redesigned some pieces because we thought like, oh, we can hand assemble this. But when you put this on the assembly line, like this whole thing is going to take 4 times as long. Or even warranty issues like, oh, if we have a defect in this particular part, like, are we going to have to trash this whole thing? Or is there a way for us to get to that particular part that we could replace it and refurbish this thing? So like there was so much thought that went into like exactly how are we going to put this together so that not only can it be assembled with a reasonable cost of molds, it can be the assembly time is manageable. And if we need to repair it, are we trashing the whole thing? This is not an inexpensive device. There's a lot of expensive parts on here. Are we trashing it? Or can we just remove this lid, this cover, this area and get to the components that we need to get to? So that was a lot of time learning and making sure we weren't missing anything and thinking through the whole process.
Well said. Well said. Well, it's been quite an exciting journey here. Where can people, first of all, go to learn more about SoCool? You have this campaign. Do you have a website? Where can we send people?
Yeah, we've delivered our product. Everybody is loving it. We're on happyllamatech.com. We have our store on Shopify, and we are selling, and we're selling well.
Awesome. So I'll make sure to link that up in the show notes. And I have one final question, and we can end on this note. And we can first start with Ahmad, and we can end with Leslie. And my question would be, you can either end with a quote that you'd like, they've heard from someone else. It could be a book recommendation on business or marketing, or it could be a word of encouragement, any of those. And let's start with Ahmad.
Sure. So I'll try to be quick. When we initially started, we were thinking about, okay, this hardware product, it requires money. We were thinking about investments or loans. And we were talking about like government agencies, like local government agencies that give loans.
That's not quick. That's not quick. Just give him the book. Just give him the book.
Give me 1 second. And so they were asking for business plan, business model. I learned from the book, I'll tell you the name, the Startup Owner's Manual, that said the Startup Owner's Manual, that said the startup doesn't have a business model, doesn't have a business plan. Startup is a business or is an entity in search of a business plan. That changed everything about what we do. I'm so grateful that I get to read that book.
And that was the Startup Owner's Manual by Bob Dorff and Steve Blank, that one?
Yes, correct.
Got it. Make sure to link that up in the show notes. Thank you so much. And Leslie, you've been incredible in sharing so much great advice, and your energy is infectious. Do you have a final tip, word of encouragement, book recommendation, or quote that you'd like to share?
Sure. I already gave you my gem of advice, but I'll give it to you again. Fail faster. That's it. Fail faster. Get it behind you so you can get closer to success.
Well said. Thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it. And good luck with growing and scaling this product. And if you do another launch, good luck with that one as well.
Thank you so much. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified Podcast. My name is Salvador Briggman. Oh man, I hope you took away some nuggets of crowdfunding gold when it came to this episode. I know that I did. When I got started in the industry back in 2012, I was living in New York City. I'd recently moved there from Washington, D.C., where I went to school studying actually economics. And I did a mini econ thesis comparing different categories on Kickstarter. And I proved that depending on which category you launch in, the variables that affect success are going to be quite different. And when I was living in New York, I never imagined in my wildest dreams, like where the products that I bought came from. I never really started to think about the fact that someone actually maybe flew around the world to be able to have boots on the ground to make sure they deliver a great product to their customers. But if that's something that you're willing to do, I will tell you that you stand out, just like today's podcast guest, as someone who is an action taker, as someone who wants to do it right, that doesn't want to cut corners. And sometimes it's challenging, though. I mean, we come up with major obstacles and challenges that we have to, surmount. We have to push through and plow through. Sometimes people that are trying to punch us out or keep us back or hold us back in areas of our lives. And sometimes it's just life in general. And if you feel like you would just like a little bit of guidance, you'd like to have the wind at your back, you'd like to have someone who's in your corner that's not only cheering for your success, but also is giving you the step-by-step that you need to do to follow in order to actually get there. Really holding your hand, blazing the trail for you, and being your guide, showing you the straightest path to be able to crush it with your crowdfunding campaign. And get even a little bit into the weeds. And I love to say that, get a little bit nerdy, right, about crowdfunding in terms of the exact step-by-step, minute tactics that you got to do in order to be successful with this campaign, from the video to the rewards, to the pre-launch, to the Facebook advertising, to email marketing, to all of it. And if you want that all delivered to you in one simple individual one-on-one coaching call, go down below and book an individual one-on-one call with me today. That is me, Salvador Briggman, not someone else I've hired to do this call for you to cut corners. You'll be speaking directly to me at that link down below at crowdcrux.com/coaching. And you can book that one-on-one call down there with me. This is an investment in your success, in laying the strong foundation for your campaign. I have people that email me saying, Sal, I'm in the idea phase. This is a good time to book a call. Yes, not only can it have an impact with your idea, turning that into reality, but also share with you some of the other tools and resources you might not be aware of to make it even faster. Sal, I have a prototype, but I don't know how to get photos and videos of it. Can you help me with this? Of course. I've been in the game for more years than you can imagine. I got started in this industry back in 2012, so I have so many resources I can share with you to speed up the process. Hey, Sal, I'm thinking of going live with this launch, but I'm not exactly sure how to do it. Can you help me? Yes. Go down below and book your individual one-on-one coaching call with me. Not only can you use that call to kind of get into the nuts and bolts of crowdfunding, but also to give you feedback on where you are and what you need in order to get to where you want to go. And more importantly, I do have long-term coaching programs as well. If you want to learn more about that, we can talk about that at the end of the call. This is designed to be intensive, one-off, useful for you. And on a select basis, we'll work one-on-one in terms of execution when it comes to specific campaigns. If we believe in it, if it's something we think we can be successful, we can talk about that at the end of the call as well. But go down below, book that call. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you are rearing to go, if you are inspired, if you are hyped up, make sure to leave a positive rating and review on iTunes so other people know this is worth their time. Thank you so much. My name is Salvador Briggman, and I will see you next time.